January 24th, UFC 324. First pay-per-view back, and two guys that you fought, Paddy the Baddy Pimblett, Justin Gaethje. What do you think is going to be the biggest X factor for the winner of that fight?
Great question. I will be in attendance. Two guys that I respect a ton. I've loved watching Paddy rise and even fighting him, obviously having a ton of respect for him. Gaethje, fight of the year 2021 or 2022. We shared the octagon together. Paddy is better than everybody thinks. Paddy is better than you think, the entire media thinks, the entire world thinks. He's better than the entire MMA landscape thinks. With that being said, Justin Gaethje is always game. Justin Gaethje always shows up, and Justin Gaethje is always violent and dangerous. It's a pick'em fight for me. I do think Gaethje is going to look across the octagon, see a guy that he should beat, but he's not as easy to beat as he thinks he is, so it's going to be a very interesting fight.
The mixed martial arts community finds itself sharply divided as UFC 324 approaches, with professional fighters offering wildly contrasting opinions about how the interim lightweight title clash between Paddy Pimblett and Justin Gaethje will unfold.
I do think that Paddy the Baddy is going to wind up closing distance, and not even from his own offensive tactics, but from Justin Gaethje closing distance, because he does like to get inside to the dirty boxing range, and Paddy's an intelligent grappler, not just on the ground, but on the feet. If he can get that body lock, I believe he can get Justin down just like Fiziev got him down. Only difference is what he does with the takedown and what he does from that dominant position, because Rafael Fiziev is not the grappler. He's not the submission ace that Paddy is. Paddy's not going to let you get out of those positions. If he gets that body lock, you're there till the end of the round or earlier if you submit. So I think Paddy the Baddy gets this fight done. I've got it going round 3 submission. Paddy the Baddy gets it done. Interim champion, walks around like it's undisputed.
Max Holloway refuses to commit to either competitor when breaking down this main event collision starting around the 13-minute mark of his analysis. The Hawaiian striker sees legitimate winning scenarios for both athletes, making this feel less like a predictable outcome and more like flipping a coin. His central concern revolves around whether the Liverpool representative can absorb the type of punishment Gaethje routinely delivers without getting knocked unconscious. Holloway notes how Pimblett consistently takes heavy damage during his contests, which raises serious questions about durability when facing someone with truly elite knockout power. However, Holloway also acknowledges that if Pimblett somehow survives those early storms, he possesses the grappling credentials to potentially replicate what Charles Oliveira accomplished by weathering the violence before securing a submission finish. The alternative scenario involves Gaethje connecting cleanly and ending matters before grappling ever becomes relevant.
I think it's going to be a great fight. I can see Paddy winning, you know what I mean? But I can see Gaethje winning too, you know? Paddy gets hit. So my question in this fight is, like, Paddy gets hit, is he going to be able to endure the damage that Gaethje is going to put on him? Because we saw him endure the damage in his recent, in all of his fights. You know, he gets cracked, he gets hit, he still comes forward. You know, is he going to be able to eat Justin's shots? That's the question for me. That's the biggest one for me. And with Paddy, because if he can eat it, I can see Paddy catching Gaethje and maybe almost like a Oliveira fight, you know? Catch Gaethje, hurt Gaethje wobble, and then, you know, get to Gaethje's back or something, maybe subble. You know what I mean? Like, Paddy is very well rounded. You know, he out wrestled wrestlers, he out grappled grapplers. He stands with you. You know, he doesn't care. He throws. You know, everybody's be like, his chin is in the air. He takes shots. Yeah, he takes shots and he still walk forward. How long will that last? We don't know. And that's the question I have to this fight. Or what his reaction is going to be when Justin Gaethje catches him. Because Justin Gaethje punched like a truck. He kicks like a freaking donkey, and it's insane. So I want to see if he can endure the damage in this Justin Gaethje fight. But like I said, for me this is a flip up, bro. I'm not surprised if any of these guys win, because I can see 2 clear paths to these guys winning. I can see Gaethje catching Paddy, you know, putting him down, finishing him. Then I can see Pimblett catching Pimblett catching Gaethje, maybe knock him out or hurt him enough to where he can get a submission.
Dustin Poirier delivers an assessment that might catch many observers off guard. Given the current betting landscape, the veteran lightweight points toward Gaethje's extensive championship round experience as potentially decisive when fatigue and mental exhaustion become factors. Gaethje has survived countless brutal battles extending into deep championship waters, accumulating knowledge about pacing and survival that cannot be replicated through training camp preparation alone. Poirier questions whether Pimblett can effectively keep distance during striking exchanges or successfully complete takedowns against someone with Gaethje's wrestling pedigree and defensive awareness. This creates a problematic dynamic where Pimblett likely gets forced into extended striking battles regardless of his preferred strategy. The real challenge becomes maintaining composure and discipline across 25 full minutes of championship combat. Picking careful moments to engage while avoiding reckless exchanges demands maturity typically earned through years of elite-level competition. Gaethje brings significantly more knockout power and shows zero hesitation about accepting damage to land his own devastating counters.
You know, I'm leaning towards Justin.
You're one of the few that I've heard say that. Can you tell us why?
I just think he's been in those 25-minute fights. He's been in dog fights before. I think Paddy's going to have a tough time stopping him on the feet, and I don't think Paddy's going to be able to get him down. So he's going to have to fight with him. Unless Paddy can stay super disciplined for 25 minutes, stay at distance, pick his shots. Justin's just a bigger puncher, and he'll put himself in harm's way to land one of those shots. And it is tough to stay away from it for 25 minutes.
Do you think that the UFC wants Paddy to win?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably, because Justin's talking about retirement, and Paddy's still young, and they can continue to build him. There's a bunch of fights we haven't seen with Paddy. So it's more marketable if Paddy wins.
And so how do you see it playing out?
I think Justin stops him.
Wow. Okay.
Someone uniquely qualified to discuss Gaethje's capabilities happens to be Charles Oliveira, who battled him during one of the lightweight division's most memorable title fights in recent history. Oliveira experienced firsthand just how explosive and threatening Gaethje becomes during striking exchanges before ultimately finding success through submissions. He said, "He strikes well on his feet, can take the fight to the ground, and is constantly moving. I think Pimblett won't want to exchange blows with him. He'll probably try to take it to the ground. If he decides to exchange blows, he could be knocked out. But if he bets on the takedown, he has a chance to become champion. Still, I would really like Gaethje to come out victorious." Eddie Alvarez approaches his breakdown from a completely different angle, drawing from personal knowledge of Gaethje's fighting style after handing him his first promotional defeat. Rather than obsessing over inherent talent or technical attributes, preparation quality as potentially determining everything. The former champion explains that Gaethje applies a specific brand of suffocating pressure that training partners simply cannot authentically replicate during camp preparation. Constant physical collisions, relentless aggression, and complete absence of breathing room that characterized their violent encounter. No amount of sparring can truly prepare someone for that reality until experiencing it firsthand under championship arena lighting. Whichever competitor adapts more rapidly once that opening bell sounds might claim victory regardless of what transpired during training camps.
He's unique, man, and he's one of my favorite guys to watch. So but if you want to beat Justin Gaethje, you have to. So he's a forward fighter and a pressure fighter that he will stand in the pocket, and he's gonna throw everything he got in that pocket. If you don't meet him, you'll get chewed up. So Paddy, the way to beat a guy who does this, very violent, aggressive pressure fighter, you have to meet him. You have to throw when he throws. So you got to be brave, and you have to go when he goes in between his shots. If you do that, you got a fair shot. If you don't do that, if you're not brave and courageous and throw when he throws in between his shots, it's going to be a really long night. It's going to be a hard night for you.
Alexander Volkanovski sees this matchup from an entirely different perspective as the event rapidly approaches. The former featherweight champion expects Pimblett to emerge victorious and claim interim championship gold. His reasoning centers on what he has consistently observed from Pimblett when facing significant challenges throughout his promotional tenure. Multiple times when critics expressed serious doubts before major tests, the Liverpool fighter responded by executing his strategy flawlessly and silencing skeptics. Volkanovski specifically highlights Pimblett's most recent performance against Chandler as evidence of his ability to stick to predetermined game plans under immense pressure. That particular skill will prove absolutely essential against someone as dangerous and unpredictable as Gaethje.
That's going to be a fun fight. I'm going to go with Paddy, you know what I mean? There's been a couple of times where I thought Paddy's had big tests in front of him and he's passed them. And, he showed me in his last fight he can really stick to a game plan. And he's going to need that with a Gaethje. So I'm going to go with Paddy.
Bilal Muhammad dedicates significant time on his YouTube channel to breaking down this matchup, ultimately landing in Gaethje's corner. The former welterweight champion focuses heavily on Pimblett's defensive liabilities during stand-up exchanges and his tendency to absorb unnecessary damage. Those vulnerabilities become exponentially more dangerous when facing someone who possesses Gaethje's combination of knockout power and aggressive forward pressure. Muhammad believes these defensive flaws will ultimately prove catastrophic, leading directly to Gaethje getting his hand raised in victory.
Use that dirty boxing. Don't get pulled into chaos. Don't get pulled into a grappling or wrestling or showing that you could do what he can do better, right? I think on the feet, Justin, you have a really big advantage. And if you're patient, you're smart, you systematically break him down, kind of like how you did against Tony Ferguson, it'll be an easy night for you. For Paddy, I think you got to create chaos. You got to wrestle as much as possible. Yeah, he has college wrestling accolades, but this isn't college wrestling. This is UFC. This is fighting. This is punches. This is grappling. This is everything involved. So if I'm Paddy, I'm going to shoot in early and test it early. Because when you guys are both dry, that's where it comes. We've seen guys like Khabib catch a low kick and shoot off it, or as he's pulling that kick back, shoot off it, pushing him to the fence. We've seen him get pressured. We don't want to get hit by him. Everybody who gets hit by him says how hard he hits. He's one of the hardest hitters in the division. So let's not test your chin. Let's not say Scousers don't get knocked out, right? We don't need to do that. I think your path to victory is clear. It's on the ground. I think you will have a big advantage if it gets into those hard grappling exchanges. And especially if you get multiple takedowns on him. You were able to control Michael Chandler, who's another college wrestler, on the ground pretty easily, mounted him. And you say you want to do the same thing with Justin? Let's put that plan to action. My pick, I think I'm gonna go with Justin. I think Paddy just gets hit a lot on the feet. Yeah, he's pretty much clean his last two victories, but Jared Gordon had some clean shots on him, big hooks, big crosses. And Justin kind of like boxes kind of like Jared. Clean, he likes dirty boxing, he likes inside boxing. Justin's very good there, so I think I'm gonna pick Justin in this one. I don't know if he knocks him out or finishes him. I do think kind of would be a decision. I'm going on the Tony Ferguson type fight because Paddy's tough. He's not hard to break. I mean, he's not easy to break.
Matt Brown expresses thoughts that extend beyond simple fight predictions into broader presents regarding how championship opportunities get distributed. Pimblett's rapid acceleration toward an interim title shot as disconnected from legitimate competitive achievement. Instead, it appears more closely aligned with social media metrics and marketability factors that drive pay-per-view revenue. He draws sharp contrast with Arman Tsarukyan, who systematically checked every competitive requirement by defeating elite contenders and proving himself against the division's most dangerous opposition. Despite that impressive resume, Tsarukyan somehow found himself excluded from title consideration, while Pimblett received this golden opportunity.
They're not even, like, they're just basically saying Paddy's more popular, you're getting it over Arman.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, right? And that's, I mean, God, I hate like how I kind of get into this too much, but I mean, that's really like, that's the definition of, you know, a monopoly where a single promoter owns the title and the rankings. And it's not a good thing for the sport, in my opinion. And I have to question what it's going to do for the longevity of the sport. You know, I don't think in the short term it's really going to make a big difference, right? Like, you know, it's going to sell the next fight, right? It's going to sell the next pay-per-view. But trends tend to come and go, right? Fads tend to come and go. At some point, like, you know, to have staying power and lasting power, I think it requires, you know, a meritocracy-based system. It's going to require, you know, some, you know, if you want to bring in guys like Arman Tsarukyan or Movsar Evloev, I always mess up how I say his name. You want to bring in these Olympic wrestling level guys. I mean, they don't want to have to go out there and put on some ridiculous show to become a champion. They don't want to have to go on Instagram and start a podcast and make you know, whatever kind of skits on social media and this silly kind of stuff. Like, they just want to be a world champion because they want to be the best athlete. And that's what makes me wonder how the staying power is going to be, right? When you're dealing with guys that are, you know, legitimate athletes that want to be legitimate athletes, and they're getting passed up by guys that are entertainers.
Tony Ferguson brings unique perspective, having competed against both athletes during his extensive UFC tenure. The unpredictable veteran suggests psychological factors might prove more influential than technical breakdowns reveal. Ferguson believes Gaethje's complicated relationship with interim championships and repeatedly unfulfilled title aspirations could create mental baggage affecting performance under pressure. Meanwhile, Pimblett's hunger to capture his first major belt might generate the type of desperate energy that elevates fighters beyond their typical capabilities. Both competitors, based on personal experience, but lean slightly towards supporting the hungrier challenger, chasing fresh opportunity with everything on the line.
Paddy's not bad, dude. Paddy's not bad. He's very beatable, and Gaethje's very beatable as well. But when it goes into the passion and how upsetting Justin Gaethje has always been about not getting that real title shot, and they just keep dangling it right there again, Paddy's in for a new treat, right? Paddy's the one that's never fought for a belt. He's going in there. He's going to be trying to, get that stuff. He's going to feel a little bit more fresher. He's going to have that little bit of excitedness, in my opinion.
Dan Hooker fundamentally disagrees with Pimblett being installed as the betting favorite heading into this contest. Hooker identifies Gaethje's exceptionally takedown defense as a critical problem that undermines Pimblett's entire strategic approach. Colby Covington voices genuine frustration with how heavily betting markets currently favor the British challenger. Speaking with Submission Radio, Covington indicates he would place substantial money on Gaethje if active fighters were permitted to gamble on bouts. Despite overwhelming public sentiment swinging toward Pimblett, Covington views Gaethje as a battle-tested warrior who will apply pressure unlike anything Pimblett has previously encountered.
If he gets it done, it's because Justin's just so shot. He's been in so many wars. He's been around the company so long, and that knockout to Max Holloway, he just hasn't recovered from. So if he gets to win that, then yeah, there. But this is seems like a smash spot. Like, if I was able to bet fighting, which we're not allowed to because the feds got involved because that moron coach James Krause screwed it up for all of us, but this seems like a smash spot on Gaethje because everybody's on and all the public is driving the money line for Paddy Pimblett to be the favorite. But I think Justin's still a tough dog, and he's going to come out there and give his all, and he doesn't want to lose this fight. This could be his last fight if he loses. So, I think he's going to put Paddy to the test, and, Paddy, usually has to control the wrestling aspect, put guys to the ground to get his submission and to get his striking game working. So, I don't know. Justin's shot on one hand, they're trying to give him an easy win on a silver platter to Paddy to build him up. He's got a little bowl cut and a little mouth, and they think he's the next star. So, I don't know. It's a tough fight to judge. How much is left in the tank for Justin versus a guy that's absolute nobody that hasn't actually accomplished anything in the sport yet. We shall see.
Michael Bisping adds his voice to those supporting the British challenger, citing Pimblett's well-rounded skill set as a crucial advantage. The former middleweight champion also references that famous Liverpool durability, which has become central to Pimblett's fighting identity, even while acknowledging Gaethje's reputation as one of mixed martial arts' most dangerous strikers. Bisping believes Pimblett will navigate toward victory by fluidly transitioning between striking and grappling as situations demand. That versatility to completely change the fight's complexion represents a weapon that could prove decisive when Pimblett needs escaping dangerous positions or imposing his game plan. The ability to threaten across multiple dimensions forces opponents into difficult decisions about where to commit their defensive resources and attention.
We know an interim champion basically means the number one contender, but if Paddy can pull it off, unbelievable. That'll be 4 champs, 2 interims and 2 legit, well 3 legit now with Tom being promoted from the UK that have become champions. And for Justin Gaethje, this is the final go. This is the final crack of the whip. The man's had 2 title fights in the past, Charles Oliveira to Khabib Nurmagomedov, and now he gets to go up against Paddy Pimblett. Now, talking about the matchup, of course, it is an easier fight for Justin than what it is against Khabib Nurmagomedov, one of the greatest of all time. Islam Makhachev, the current pound for pound, and according to many people, a man that is surpassing Khabib Nurmagomedov, right? So in that regard, it is an easier matchup. Will Paddy be able to take him down? Will he dance around the octagon? Yes, he will. Will he try and replicate the game plan of Max Holloway? Of course he will. Who wouldn't try and do that? You aren't going to stand and go toe-to-toe with Justin Gaethje because the man does have knockout power. But underestimate Paddy at your peril. That's all I'll say about that one, but that is a phenomenal fight.
Uriah Faber echoes similar reasoning while backing Gaethje to prevail. The former WEC kingpin recognizes Gaethje as someone who genuinely welcomes chaotic firefights, showing complete willingness to absorb punishment if it means landing his own offense. Faber acknowledges real danger from Pimblett's submission arsenal, but trusts that Gaethje's Division I wrestling background provides sufficient defensive tools for navigating grappling situations safely. That foundational grappling expertise should enable Gaethje to return exchanges towards striking range where his advantages become most pronounced and his comfort level peaks.
Paddy Pimblett and Justin Gaethje, who do you favor in that fight?
I gotta go with Gaethje. I feel like he's the one that loves to like get down and throw fist for fist, and he's also got the Division I wrestling to negate some of the biggest skill sets of Paddy. Paddy's like a very dominant grappler when it comes to submissions. I think Gaethje has the tools to keep it where he wants it.
Renato Moicano makes perhaps the boldest call by predicting Pimblett secures submission victory. His logic suggests that unless Gaethje scores an early finish through strikes, grappling exchanges become inevitable as the fight progresses, and Pimblett holds overwhelming advantages once combat hits the canvas for the massive skill gap in submission grappling between these competitors. The current odds should reflect a much tighter contest than what sportsbooks currently offer. This represents a significant blind spot in how casual observers evaluate the matchup, placing excessive weight on striking exchanges while dramatically underestimating the grappling dimension where Pimblett truly excels.
Tough matchup, you know?
Yeah.
I think 5 rounds. If this is the common take, everybody gonna say that, not only me, but if Justin Gaethje doesn't stop him on the beginning, he's going to lose. I think everybody thinks like that. And I think Paddy Pimblett will beat Justin Gaethje. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Michael Chandler offers particularly valuable insight given his unique position of having fought both athletes inside the octagon. After Pimblett stopped him in April of the previous year, he readily acknowledges that the Liverpool native possesses more complete skills than his critics recognize. However, when forced to make an actual prediction, Chandler still sides with Gaethje based on superior experience and overall skill level. The former Bellator champion characterizes Gaethje as representing an entirely different category of challenge that Pimblett has not previously encountered during his competitive journey. Chandler even suggests Gaethje could potentially unify championships afterward, though he also praises Topuria as possibly the most technically gifted fighter currently competing in mixed martial arts.
Gaethje, Paddy, what do you think it looks like?
Oh man, more skilled, more experienced, I think better fighter all around, Justin Gaethje. But I also have been on record and said that Paddy Pimblett is better than a lot of people think he is. You know, because of his haircut and the way he talks, and when I fought him, he's better than a lot of people give him credit for. He's got long reach, good kicks, pretty darn patient and composed in there, but Gaethje's a whole different animal. So if I had to bet, I'd go Justin Gaethje, interim champion, and then he beats Ilia Topuria later on this year.
Sean O'Malley breaks from the majority by firmly backing Pimblett to capture interim championship gold. The bantamweight star envisions this as an ideal stylistic puzzle for the British grappler to solve. O'Malley predicts Pimblett will identify an opening during the second round and capitalize by locking in a rear naked choke submission. This demonstrates substantial confidence in Pimblett's grappling abilities and his combat instincts for recognizing when opponents become vulnerable during chaotic exchanges. O'Malley believes those submission skills will ultimately prove decisive when everything hangs in the balance.
I don't know, dude. I'm kind of leaning towards Paddy. But the way he does get hit with left hooks, he looks so good against Michael Chandler. Paddy's got a lot of ways to win.
He's a scouser.
He's a scouser. Scousers don't get knocked out, you mushroom.
He KO'd Dustin with a head kick too. The fight before the Max Holloway one, which is pretty impressive.
True. So who you got, man?
Probably Paddy, rear naked.
I think. Paddy RNC.
Going down into detail. Remember Khabib.
Yeah. Remember Khabib. Paddy RNC is definitely possible.
The divided opinions from professional fighters reveal just how genuinely competitive this matchup appears heading into fight night, with legitimate arguments supporting both potential outcomes depending on which dimensions of fighting receive priority in analysis.